quarterback, man, they were flying off the board last night. So let's get some QB quick reads, Dan Orlovsky. Let's start with Drake May. He a good fit, you think, for the Patriots?
Yeah, because they just got Big Ben if they don't play him this year in any meaningful snaps. This was the worst pass-protecting offensive line in New England last year. Their leading rusher had 642 yards. Their leading receiver had 561 yards. A rookie quarterback would die in New England, okay? So no meaningful snaps. But this young man is unbelievably physically talented. He's got unbelievable intelligence, great work ethic, tremendous character. So I love the place where he can go sit, not need to win, and learn behind Jacoby Brissett.
All right. How about the Broncos? Got their new franchise quarterback in Bo Nix. How does he fit, you think, in Denver?
Ideally, supremely accurate, lightning-fast processing. Those are the two most important qualities to Sean Payton when it comes to a quarterback. Bo Nix has developed that. Ever since he's transferred from Auburn to Oregon, you saw that growth of the quarterback traits that he has. I think it's an ideal situation for both the organization and the player.
J.J. McCarthy is a guy who many thought were going to may even end up in the top 5, but he found a new home in Minnesota. What does he bring to the Vikings offense?
He's a play-action pass master. You can see it here with the ability to make a play fake, see the backside coverage, that safety drops down. There's a lot of nuance that goes to that, turning your back to a defense. You got to see where defenders are and where the vacant holes to throw a football and see multiple layers of the defense. Then you have to be able to play with rhythm and timing. This crosser has to be thrown on one hitch to a window as that backside safety starts to retrace, where you have to throw the right type of pace and trajectory on a football. That beautiful crosser to Roman Wilson, one of the staples of Minnesota's offense under Kevin O'Connell, who's their head coach and play caller, is that play-action game and that play-action pass crossers game down the field. J.J. McCarthy is the best in this class doing that.
Let's stay with that for a minute here, Dan O, because, you know, we heard from McCarthy yesterday on the show, and he was talking about how he spent the most time with the Giants. He really loved his time there. It felt like that's where he was going to go. At number 6, a number of people thought maybe the Giants would go get McCarthy. Did they make a mistake by passing on McCarthy and keeping Daniel Jones?
Well, I think it's hard for me to find a quarterback room in the NFC that I have less confidence in than the Giants. They have a starting quarterback coming off of missing 18 games in the last 3 seasons. He's thrown for over 15 touchdowns once in his career. I would have drafted J.J. McCarthy. I can understand the Malik Neighbors pick because of one thing: explosive plays. When it comes to explosive plays, it's the highest currency a skill position player can bring to your organization. And Malik Neighbors in the past couple of years has got 34 20-yard plays or more. That's the most since Jamar Chase. And if it was between J.J. McCarthy or Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors, you better be darn sure that Daniel Jones is going to take that next step. I'd say this: Malik Neighbors is going to have to be great for Daniel Jones to be better than good. And that's going to be a challenge for that organization, knowing it's do or die next season for many people attached to that quarterback position.
Swagger, where you fall on this?
You know, it's crazy. We came off the conversation with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., and we have, like, it would have surprised no one if the New York Giants would have taken a quarterback, whether that's J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix. We wouldn't have had a conversation about Michael Penix at all. I think, look, we saw Saquon Barkley walk out of the door in New York, and we thought that that was Daniel Jones' safety valve. Now you bring in a rookie, to Dan's point, and you're going to ask Malik Neighbors to improve all of these things around him when we have a large sample size that the quarterback you have is not the quarterback of the future. So in this particular situation, with not having to kill all of the money that you have in the bank in order to sign young quarterbacks, I would have definitely taken a flyer on J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix Jr. just for value of the position, let alone if you didn't think that they would pan out to be some great players. But the value of the position and what you have already in your quarterback room, to me, it would have made more sense. But I'm happy it was Malik Neighbors going number 6 because I love Malik.
Dan, you are tied into every one of these teams. Was it realistic that the Giants was going to take J.J. McCarthy?
Well, no. I mean, because they could have. He was sitting right there, and they didn't. So I think, you know, the fun part about when the clock strikes 8 o'clock last night is you get to find out, of all the information you've been gathering, what was true.
Yeah.
And a month ago, it was, the Giants like J.J. McCarthy. But that position evolved. And it got to the point last night where the only quarterback the Giants were really willing to make a move for was Drake May. And they tried to get up to number 3 with New England in order to acquire him, and they couldn't do it. So once they were not going to take a flyer, as Swagoo said, on any quarterback besides Drake May in this draft. That's just the decision they came to, right or wrong. They felt like that was the guy worth stretching for. And if not, Daniel Jones, $36 million guaranteed this year. We've got him. Let's see what he can do. And if he can't, we're going to have to address this again next year.
Yeah, I think it's the right move not to take a quarterback or not to take that quarterback. I think we're arguing, as Dan was giving us all the reasons why every quarterback selected could have success. Like, I was believing it for every quarterback, excuse me, but not if you put him in New York at this current moment. So while I think that J.J. McCarthy might turn out to be a good pro, the reason why Dan was explaining that he's in a good spot was because the offense that he's entering is really good and is well designed for the things that he does well. So while you're right, they need a quarterback, they aren't ready for this quarterback. Maybe there are special quarterbacks. Maybe if Caleb Williams was available, he's good enough that you don't pass him up. I think J.J. McCarthy, maybe he is, but there's no reason. He hasn't shown us that he's a guy that you drop in a bad situation and everything improves around you. I got a little bit of respect for the Giants for not making the same mistake twice that they made with Daniel Jones, where they drafted a quarterback, dropped him in a bad situation, nothing got better, and they're still in a situation where they need a quarterback. What it looks like to me they're doing now is like, all right, maybe Daniel Jones ain't our answer, but I'm going to get a piece that I know is going to be a good piece. Next year, we're going to get a couple more pieces. Later in the draft, we'll get a couple more pieces, and then we're going to try to bring a quarterback in and set him up for success, not bring a quarterback in and set him up for failure.
Winners, losers from the first round of the draft. Neat winners last night.
Yeah, I didn't get too cute with this one. There was one quarterback in this draft that people thought was like a once-in-a-decade type of talent. The Bears got him. Not only did they get him to add to 2 really good receivers, they got Rome Odunze. So I think the Bears were obviously the big winner in this draft, getting all that and setting themselves up to have a much more promising future at the quarterback position than their past. So I think they're the clear winners of the draft yesterday.
Swagoo, if you had to pick a loser last night, who is it?
Yeah, I would say the Falcons, but I've come around a little bit. The only difference is the unexpected nature in which this happened after we saw Kirk Cousins get signed, and now talking about it more. You know, that's why my colleagues are so great. Maybe it's not so bad. The age was something I was caught up on. Dominique made a great point about just being ready when Kirk Cousins' tenure ends. So the Falcons may have not been losers as much as I thought.
All right, Dano, give me your winner from last night.
Oh, my goodness, it's J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy, along with Caleb Williams, are the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He goes to a place where there's a plethora of offensive talent, to a coach that really understands how to dial up plays for a quarterback and make it easy, and he's got the best wide receiver in football. You could not forecasted or foreshadowed a better place for a young quarterback, and specifically J.J. McCarthy, to go to.
Graz, give me a loser from last night.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the Buffalo Bills beat reporters. Like, you show up, maybe you show up around 6:30, 7 o'clock, they feed you. You know it's going to be a long night because the team's picking 28th, but at least there'll be a pick, and it'll probably be an exciting one because it's a wide receiver. It turns out they trade down twice all the way out of the round. You go home, and you got to come back tonight. You still haven't written anything or reported anything. I just wanted to let you guys know up there in Buffalo, I feel your pain, and I was hurting for you last night. I hope tonight's a lot more exciting.
Okay, if that's the case, then Swagoo, are the Bills failing Josh Allen by not getting a receiver in the first round?
Yeah, absolutely. And letting the damn Chiefs get one. All right, here's the thing, man. When we saw Stephon Diggs leave, the conversation turned into how deep this receiver class was in this league coming out of college. And you would have thought they would have at least tried. We had A.D. Mitchell tag there, Xavier Worthy people thought would be available, and they end up trading back out. And listen, there's always a method to the madness. And Bean is going to try to figure out a way to come back and make these Buffalo Bills fans believe that they made some smart decisions last night. When you don't have a number one wide receiver, I don't care how good your quarterback is. We've seen it time and time again how they've tried to pair this up. I don't know if they can make something happen later in this draft, but as of right now, letting Xavier Worthy go to the Chiefs and not having a pick in the first round is crazy to me.
You know, listen, Dano, because I know you've called a lot of college games and you know these guys really well. When they got Xavier Legette, I was like, oh, that's a good pick out of South Carolina. He's like DK Metcalf. Big, strong, runs a 4.3, and then they trade him. I was like, what? What are they doing? What were your thoughts then what Buffalo did?
Yeah, let's just pause on that, okay? A couple things. Number one, there's still the chance that Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel gets traded. They have all day to try to figure that out after they get out of the first round. There's still a chance that T. Higgins gets traded. Maybe Buffalo's in the conversation for them. Buffalo has 8 picks in the next 4 rounds, all right? They got 2 twos. If you told me that they're going to get A.D. Mitchell out of Texas, they're going to get Keon Coleman out of Florida State, Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky, we have a very different perspective on Buffalo. I actually thought Buffalo did a good job. I understand, like, oh my gosh, they allowed the Chiefs to go get Xavier Worthy, but that's not necessarily central to Buffalo. They were trying to acquire more picks to maybe continue to rebuild that roster. And I don't know if Buffalo is so centrally focused on this year only, because once Steph gets off their books next year, that's when this like retooling and run really has the chance to take off. So I think that they're equipped to go and add to their wide receiver room today via a trade and or some of the really good, talented second wide receivers still available. I don't look at this as a bad situation for Buffalo.
Should they be calling the Niners? And
oh, sure. And I mean, absolutely, they should be turning over every rock. But Swagoo says A.D. Mitchell, he's still there. Like, they could just sit tight and take him tonight with the first pick of the next round. So Buffalo is not dumb. I mean, they're a smart and accomplished front office. They knew what the Chiefs were doing when they made the trade. It's not like an Uber driver that doesn't know where he's going until he gets to the pickup, right? Like, they knew that it was the Chiefs coming up, and they knew they were probably going to take a receiver, and they were cool with it. And the Chiefs, the Bills need picks. The Chiefs don't need picks. The Chiefs can spend multiple picks to get an impact player. The Bills lost a lot of guys, not just Stephon Diggs. They lost a lot of players this offseason and need to rebuild a roster on the fly. So absolutely picking up extra picks. They didn't have a third rounder until they made the deal with the Chiefs. The Bills have a plan, and I think they're going to be just fine.
Listen, they've worked deals in the past. Oh, Chiefs, give me your thoughts here, Nick.
Oh, man. That's you had to bring that up.
Give me one example.
Yes. The time when how Patrick Mahomes ended up in Kansas City.
Right.
Right. So
give me another one.
That doesn't bode well for this trade. But, I mean, I think I agree with a lot of what's being said. I think we have to understand that different teams are on different timelines. And right now, the Bills are in a situation where they need to take a lot of shots. And I think we could look back at the Chiefs, the way that the Chiefs built their team, in the same way. And I know the trade is not quite the same as Tyreek Hill trade. But the point is, they need to get some cheap talent. And in order to ensure that you'll get cheap talent that hits, you need a lot of picks. So when you get an opportunity to move back and the position of need is receiver, there's still a bunch of good receivers. You get an opportunity to add more picks, more shots at filling the holes they have in the secondary, in the holes they have in the receiving core, in the holes they have at linebacker. Like, all the holes that they have, they need to take more shots. So, like, I don't hate this. It may not be short-term raising their success chances, but I think over the long term, when you find a quarterback, you're going to have to find some cheap ways to support them.
All